Mom Who Knows Nada. My name is Brianna, and this is the Mama Knows Nada podcast. Staying true to our theme, we're going to talk a little bit about self-care and how this magnificent mama has made it her mission to take care of herself, as every mom should. That's my personal opinion. So Courtney is my darling cousin. Thank you so much for coming back to share your journey and your growth and all these things that you've been working on. How you been?
Hanging in there.
I can't believe it. Oh my God. April? Are you doing April? Okay, this is...
Yeah.
Okay,
Well, April 2nd.
Baby might be here by the time this airs, so that'll be fun. Also, I'm digging the purple hair. Like, I'm like looking at your hair and I'm like, oh, I just have this terrible brown on my head that's like not quite blonde, but anyway, I'm digging it. And I'm on another tangent. So the last time we chatted, you had returned to painting, and you've reignited that fire, been painting up a storm, you've got incredible pieces. And so how has this form of expression like really served you over these last several months?
I mean, painting for me is the ultimate self-care, really. I mean, I enjoy doing other things. I've been trying to paint my toenails for a couple months now, but I mean, that's the satisfaction level is not the same, so we don't prioritize that one. But it's, like, painting is literally what keeps me sane. I mean, I'll go a week or so without painting, and I just get bitchier and bitchier and more in like just so tightly wound. So I have noticed over the time how much that affects me, and I know I see so many artists that say the same thing. It's just, it is so ingrained in us that we can't do without it. So, you know, and being that it is a form of self-care, it's all about that mental health and that sanity that we are all seeking. So
that's a good word. Yeah. I've never meant to.
The closest we can get to that sanity.
I don't think I'll ever have sanity. But I think that's really interesting. Like you say, the longer you go without it, the more like anxious and like angsty and like maybe even what's the word I'm looking for? I don't want to say it's not disgruntled, but something along those lines. Like that's really interesting that's what comes out for you. You know, like you're like almost resentful if you don't get to do it. It's like.
Yeah, actually, yes. Their resentment definitely plays a part in that because I get to a point where it's like, well, I'm taking care of the kids and I'm trying to help out with this and I got to do the house. Stupid dog that I don't, you know, all of these things. And it's like, well, what about me? And I have those moments. I have those moments where I go, when do I get to stop and take a break? And not that, you know, I am a mom and I'm home with, well, I mean, the boys are at school, but, you know, I'm home taking care of everybody. And that includes my husband. He's out at work. And that's what I signed up for. And I know that, but that also doesn't take away from the fact that I'm a human that has limits. So
totally. So what does self-care mean to you?
Self-care to me it's not just about doing things for yourself. It's not just about buying things for yourself. It's a much deeper understanding of what self-care is, because it's about the mental state. So it's, as I've painted, and even just recently within the past 2 months or so, figuring out, okay, well, why isn't this painting working? Why don't I like what I'm doing? Why do I not like my results? And I take a step back and my painting really, really reflects what I'm experiencing in my day-to-day life. So I've noticed the trends, the way that my work looks visibly, and then I take that into account what's going on mentally. And so for me, I actually have like a visual representation of whether or not I'm taking care of myself. So, and I see it, and I've gotten to the point now where I understand that, and I like to psychoanalyze everything. So when I see these things, I'm like, okay, I figured out another thing about me and what I need. And so self-care is about loving myself. It's about accepting whatever I'm going through at that moment, whether I like it or not, that I'm worthy, that I am enough, and that I can still do things for myself regardless of what's going on. So self-care has gone from this concept where it's about treating yourself, yes, but it's also about taking a minute to figure out why you need to treat yourself and going to that deeper, like I said, psychoanalysis of the whole concept. So, and I mean, that's what my whole purpose with painting is to share this acceptance of ourselves, to be able to take a step back and say, yes, I'm angry, or I'm resenting someone, or I feel like a failure, whatever it might be, and say, okay, it's okay that I feel like this, and being harder on myself isn't going to make me better. There's a difference between being disciplined and being hard on yourself. So it's analyzing all of those things and just accepting who you are and that you're worthy
and how
to
that
love
changes
yourself.
like moment to moment. Like what I can do like on a Monday is way different than what I can do on a Friday, you know, like, and I think that that's really a poignant statement about, you know, self-care is about like treating yourself, but why? It doesn't need to be a treat. I look at self-care as like maintenance. Like, what do I need to function in the world, you know? And that could be a passion. It could be a hobby. It just, cause it's not the same for everybody. But like you can't edit your painting, you know, the way I can like edit a story or, you know, a blog post or whatever. Like, once that paint's on there, that's a lot harder to like, oh no, that isn't, I don't, you know, like you're covering, you're mapping, you're scraping, you're redoing. So I think that's like an interesting analogy. Like I can literally like Control Alt Delete something and you're like, nope, totally new canvas here because it's not coming out, you know?
Absolutely.
And I think that it's always good to highlight things look different for like everybody's a different need, right? Like, so you're sitting there talking about, you know, like your version of self-care and what this means and how you have to give like worthy and love and like put yourself like on the list, you know, because, you know, if you're not taken care of, how can you take care of all the kids and the husband and the dog and the house and all the other million things that, you know, moms do in a day. But, oh my gosh, I just lost my train of thought. But like also, finding that being courageous enough to like dig in to figure out what you need in order to get to that space of like maintenance or just self-care. And I think, you know, we in our society, we've made like, oh, you need to self-care doesn't need to be a spa day. It can be a spa day. It can be a girl's weekend away to decompress. But it can also be doing yoga every morning. This is something that I've tried to start, especially with my husband being gone, and like doing those like mantra-y, like you woo-woo stuff. You know, I'm not a big like hippy dippy, like feel good kind of person, or like the stereotype of that is what I should say. But I have started to try to really work on like my breath and connectivity and re-evaluating the messaging that I'm giving myself. So instead of saying I don't have time to do this for myself, like you don't have time to paint. How do you have time to paint? You know, with the kid, even if they're in school or not, there's still a million other things to do. Let's be real here.
Right.
But it's like making that time because your needs are just as important as anybody else's in that house. And I love that you're finding those opportunities for yourself and then finding ways to talk about them with me. So this is great.
Well, and like you were saying, you can't take care of everybody else when you don't take care of yourself. And it's true, because we have such high standards for ourselves as what it means to be a parent. So how can you expect to maintain those goals when you're not doing the maintenance along the way to achieve them? And that's exactly what it is. So that guilt that we all, for some reason, hold on to so deeply, that, well, taking care of myself is taking away from them. It's not. And that's what this whole self-care concept is framing that this is not selfish. This is literally in order to be able to 100%. Perform.
That's a really good point to make. Like, I remember when my sister got pregnant with her oldest, and I was like, well, how are you going to take care of him if you don't have, the mental space for it, how are you going to take care of him? You can't take care of yourself. And that's still to this. I mean, I said that before I was a mom, I was like 20 years old. So, and I still believe that to the day. If you're not looking after number one, what is that quote? It's like, you never have time to take care of your, something about like your health until like it's in illness, and it's like then you put yourself first. That quote's not gonna come to me. It's driving me crazy. But it's like, okay, well, if you don't make time for your wellness, you'll be forced to make time for your illness or something. You know what I'm trying to say. And it's so true. Like if you're not doing, I'm not saying like it's gonna happen all day every day, but finding that hour, like. I also love how you said, like, you get like resentful. If I don't get to write and if I don't get to like work out, like get out of my way. Someone's going down. Like I got to get out the angst, and then I have to like focus the energy. So I like each of them's like Dominic, he knows. He's like, okay, you haven't worked out. You need to go to the gym. Even if you're just on the elliptical, go work that out. And half the time, this is what I wish I could like run and like type, because half the time like inspiration comes to me when I'm like mid run, and then I have to like stop and like send myself like a Google note, like, oh, don't forget, this is a great thought. And then or like 3:00 in the morning, and like the inspiration. Now, do you think there's a difference between like self-care and living your passion, or do you think those kind of go hand in hand?
I think for a lot of people, they don't realize that they go hand in hand. Like you said, for me, it's painting. For you, it's writing. For somebody else, it's yoga or meditation or anything creative. We are all creative beings, and creativity is not just the arts, and I think most people find when they do actually make time for themselves to take care of themselves, that's what they are most passionate about. And they just don't pursue it because of XYZ and whatever the world says you can't, because it's not realistic. But it's funny that you bring that up, because I think that it goes hand in hand a lot more frequently than people realize. I
think so too. I think that, I don't know about you, but whenever I have like a well-received like blog post, or like my article's finally published, or I get off like recording a podcast, like I'm like, that's like motivating and energizing for me. Even if I'm like, even if like hopping on here, I was like, I'm so tired. I have to have energy. And then it's like you get on and you're like, oh, well, I don't have to conserve the energy. It's there because once I'm in it, it's like, oh, this is me. Like, this is what I should be doing. This is who I am. Like, this makes my, my cells jingle, if you will.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Let's go back a little bit. We talked about this, I think, a little bit before, about your fear to start painting and all of the things surrounding that. How did you conquer that initial fear to like go out, get the supplies, the canvases, and start anew?
I don't think I fully conquered that yet, Brianna. I mean, to be completely honest, every time I paint something, every time I post something, there's still that fear that it's not good enough, especially with, social media specifically, how it's changing and how influential it is. It's very competitive. the platform itself, not necessarily the people, but it's I
hear you.
yeah, I am more confident than I was. And that's actually something that I've been working on recently, is kind of going back, because as I said, I noticed a pattern in my work and it wasn't what I wanted. And I'm trying to figure out why. And I journal every morning and I meditate and I do energy healing and stuff like that. Like, it's all part of my painting experience. So I get a lot of insight about my work through my journaling. And sorry, just lost my train of thought there.
Journaling is it's an energetic experience. You do all the healing, but you still haven't totally conquered your fear. But you learn about
Yeah. And I had to remind myself of why I'm doing this in the first place. You are most successful when you are being true to yourself. So knowing why you're doing it to begin with is the most important thing that you can hold on to. So that's what I've had to revisit, is why am I doing this? What is my purpose? What is my goal? Who am I looking to reach out to? Who is this going to resonate with? And holding on to those things has helped me be more confident in my work, like my work more, and be more comfortable sharing it and saying, this is it, you know, whether, and everybody's not going to like it. It's not for everybody. And that's one thing that we all struggle with, is wanting to be liked by everybody, but that's not how it works. So we have to be most genuine to ourselves and to the people that think like us. So that's what I am focusing on most now in order to regain.
Yeah, totally. I totally get that. I just posted for those of you who don't know, this book behind me is my book, Positively Penelope, and I wrote it and I self-published it because by the time I would have actually found a literary agent, which is nearly impossible as a first-time author, I was like, the story, it's going to take me 5 years. And let's put it this way. I started when my son when I was pregnant, and I didn't finish it till my son was like a year and a half. And I just posted something on Instagram, and it was about a review I got, and which was a good review. The woman really liked it. She's like, my kids really loved it. We can't wait for your next book, which is literally in a document that I just haven't edited it. It's there, it's waiting. And I was like, that's really good feedback, and I'm really glad they liked it. But at the same time, this is not a story that's going to resonate for everybody. And I read it, and I go back and I'm like, oh, I would change the sentence phrasing. Oh, I would reposition this. Oh, I would. No one is going to be a bigger critic on their work than the creator. Ever. You cannot say something to me that I didn't think already. Doesn't mean it doesn't suck to hear it, or it doesn't mean that it doesn't hurt your feelings, because I feel like so many creators and artists are emotional beings, and in a way the work they produce is tethered to something like deep-seated. It should be. And then you feel that, that expression comes out. I was just talking about this with my husband this morning about, we talk a lot about how he and I talk a lot about how he's adopted and what that means. But he doesn't talk about that with anybody else, and I said something to him, and he might not like that I'm repeating it on this podcast, but I said that fundamental birth relationship, even though your parents are amazing, that biological chemistry that you have with your birth mother, you never got, and there is a void. There is something there. And I say that because my own experience, as you know very well, is all the things tethered around to being abused. So you never feel good enough, right? And then you're 30 some years old trying not to, again, we're just taking it back to our last podcast. We're talking about perpetuating these stereotypes and these, family cycles and all that crap. And so you're you're so afraid of getting it wrong. And I don't know about you, but it's like all of that for me and my like creativity is tied together, because I don't want to recreate things from the past. I don't want to project anything onto my son. I'm trying so hard to be somebody that I've never been for my husband. And I'm trying to heal all these wounds myself. That's a lot, you know? And then that all goes into the work. And then coming back to the topic of conversation is it ever good enough? And then you know people aren't going to like it, and you don't want to hear the negative commentary, but it's going to happen anyway. However, you know that not everybody's going to like it. Why do you let it get to you? I mean, I don't have the answer here. I'm just putting it out there, but I hear you. And just giving it from a different perspective, and like how all of those things, like at least for me, play into this creative process. Like I was rejected for so long, and now I've tried to do this whole self-love thing and turn my life around and reparent myself. But like now I'm doing this thing where people are going to reject me, and it's like, it's anxiety inducing, but I still got to do it because then I don't feel fulfilled.
Right. And that's the whole thing. And that goes back to the whole point is that it is self-care. It is doing it for yourself.
Yes.
You are, some people take it and put it out there hoping to make something bigger of it. Not everybody does that with their passion, their self-care. They keep it to themselves because it's so personal. But some people like you and I, we feel that what we've been through and how we take care of ourselves can also benefit other people. So it is that duality of it being personal, but also being public for the benefit of other, you know? So it is that criticism of, well, this helps me, this works for me, but you're telling me that it's not right. You know, so
it is tough. And I think like I got an email from a little girl asking about why like Penny was in a wheelchair, and I answered her email, and I'm not going to say what I said. But that to me, you know, in like the last line of her email said something, "Thank you for writing a book about a girl in a wheelchair. That really helped me." I mean, I cried for like a week, you know? And I'm like, that is why I do it, because I had an idea about creating a book and a story that was inclusive, the world I want my son to live in, the world I want to create, the world I you know, a utopia. I don't know if it'll ever happen, but like of just like love and not like peace, love, like, you know, kumbaya, but just like acceptance, right? And this little girl read that and it resonated with her. And that's why you do it, because you might have just given somebody one thing that you didn't get. And that's what I do. It's like, and I don't know about you, but like, let me talk a little bit about inspiration. What inspires you in your art? What makes you like want to paint?
I feel that's a good question, because I'm thinking about it on multiple levels, you know? I mean, on one hand, it's literally what I have always done. And I think it just came so naturally that I didn't realize its power until I became much older and saw what my life was like without it.
That's good stuff.
So I think it's just, again, like we said before, it's connected to those passions and those purposes that we hold that we don't always uncover until much later in life. And I think for myself, it's just always been there, and I use it as an outlet my whole life. And then when I let life get in the way is when I was like, wait, let's go back. That's important. So you kind of figure out what matters by experimenting, you know, by realizing what you're missing out on and making those choices that lead you to that realization.
No, that's good.
So,
that's good stuff, you know, like as much as it is cathartic and, you know, an outlet for me, I don't think I would have had the courage to write and put myself out there if I didn't have Declan. Like, I think that for me in my journey of life, I think the universe knew I needed a little more motivation than myself because I'm a people pleaser and I always want to make everybody else happy, and I'm always bending backwards, and I'm always doing something for somebody else, and I'm always trying to think of the greater good and how can I make someone's life easier and all this crap. And then I was like, fuck. How am I going to tell him? I sit here and tell my kid that he can do anything he wants to do if I'm too scared to put myself out there. And that for me goes tandem. I wanted to hear what you had to say about inspiration with, yeah, it is personal. Yeah, it is cathartic, but also it's overcoming my own fear, like of rejection, of failure. It's also, I don't know, and this will resonate with you, being scared of not doing it. Like, I had this moment where I was like, oh my God, if I don't write now, will I ever? And if I died tomorrow, would that upset me? And I was like, oh shit, I better start doing something. I've lived, so much of my life scared to do something because I might not be good at it or somebody might not like it.
Right.
Well, that sounds really stupid, So I don't know if that resonates with you at all, but that's that's where I'm at.
Absolutely. Well, yeah, I mean, for me, the painting, it's freedom. That is the best word that I could use for it, because it is the freedom to be who I am, and like wrapping this back to the beginning, accepting what I am, who I am, how I feel, that it's okay. And here I am putting it out there and saying, take me as I am. This is me, like it or not. And yeah, you're right. The inspiration of not having it or never doing it. It's one of my, I have a lot of fears, but one of them is like, people talk about, well, if you had to lose one of your senses, what would it be? I it's like, well, I couldn't go deaf because I need music and I can't stand listening to myself think all the time. And also I couldn't do without seeing because I paint. I'm a visual person, it's so the fear of not being able to is definitely, it's definitely there. And like you were saying about Declan, using that as an example, I think about the kids all the time, and especially Sophie still being home with me. It's like I'm trying to divide up my day and make time to do this because A, I need to for myself, and B, I am trying to build a business, but also like I am trying to set an example for my children that do what you love to do, find a way to make it work. Whether it's working a 9-to-5 and doing this at night or whatever it is, don't give up. Just do it. Find a way to make it work. And it's hard when she's going, oh, this is so boring. Or some of my posts that I put up are her in the background and the 87 questions she's asking me as I'm painting. And it's like, here I'm trying to have this, Zen experience painting and being connected. And she's like, what's 9 + 4? What color are my eyes? What do I do? And sometimes I get my best work out of that because I'm out of my head and I'm not focused on criticizing my work. And out comes this really genuine painting that I'm like, maybe this does work, So, but while I feel guilty because she doesn't have my constant attention and she's great at making me feel guilty about it, I have to learn how to cut that off and say, I'm doing the right thing. I'm not the only parent working from home that can't sit and give all my attention to my child. So, I grew up in a bakery. I didn't play with me, I worked. from 3 years old, you know, like I started folding pie boxes at 3 years old, you know, so I'm like, it's okay that they learn these skills because they need to know this is what life is going to be.
Consider yourself lucky, kid. And I love it. I love that you said that. And I think that is so true. I have started to intentionally, in the last like 6 months or so, I let Declan be bored. No TV, no parental engagement. And it's so interesting to see what they come up with because you know what? They don't need to be entertained all the time. And I think as parents, we have so much crap, like as much as like we're going back to the social media thing. As great as it is in certain parameters, and it's so helpful because there's so many resources and there's so much information out there. You know, I'll be the first one to say I love doing this podcast because I think it's such great information. But at the same time, like when I'm scrolling through my feed, I'm like, you know, you feel bombarded with stuff, you know? So it's like too much information. And it's like, you're not doing this enough. You're not doing that enough. Oh, but then you need to make time for self-care. Well, how do you do that? Because I ain't got time for everything. Something's got to give.
Exactly. You see all those lists of all the things we're expected to do, and you're like, wait, that seems crazy. But yet here we are trying to making ourselves feel badly.
I know. It's pretty incredible. But what do you enjoy about sharing your passion with your kids? And how has it been for you to see them kind of like be part of it?
It's been really wonderful because I recently wrote about it a little bit, how each one of them is very artistic in their own right, but each very different. And my oldest, when he paints, it's purely expressionist. It's amazing the way he puts things down, and you can feel it through his brushwork. The colors. I mean, he's got a dark side, and it comes out in his paintings, and I think it's fascinating. Whereas my middle child is an expert illustrator. I mean, that's never been my forte, and he spends hours every single day drawing the same things over and over again. And then Sophie, she is fun. You see the liveliness and the spunkiness of her personality come through with all the paintings.
Yeah, what's talking about you, kid?
And they love, I mean, especially Sophie, when I'm painting, I'll usually set up another drop cloth next to me and pull out her paints and her stuff and let her paint next to me. We've started doing that more because she sees me painting and she wants to jump in on that too. So, I mean, this is also the girl who sits and exercises with me and meditates with me. And I mean, she's picking up on so many of these wonderful skills that I've learned later in parenting that I wish I had known in the beginning with the boys. Because now they're like, okay, this is weird. I'm not doing this. You know, they don't want anything about it. But she started, I don't know where it is. She's supposed to, or she's grown up with it since she was much younger than they were when I started. So it's interesting to see how it does affect each one of them differently and benefit them. But ultimately, I know that they're all getting that same lesson out of this that as I go through it. So, and I share a lot of it with them too. They see me struggle. They see me frustrated. They see me excited. You know, they celebrate with me. So I think it's really special that I get to share all of that with them. And they might not realize it now, but, you know, later in life, they'll be like, oh yeah, I used to do this and that and the other thing. And they'll realize how it contributes to who they are.
I think kids it's so funny to see like what they gravitate towards. Like we were kind of chatting about this earlier, and like what, and when you love something so much, like are they going to pick up on it? Because you don't want to force it, but also just giving them an opportunity to try. So, I mean, with Declan, I love that he's always dancing and singing. Like he'll just come out with like the words, like right now naturally it's in canto, so he'll just start singing some part of the song and I'm like, yes, you know. Like makes my little musical theater heart like go pitter patter. So it's just, yeah, I just say that because I think it's so cool how what kids pick up on and how whether it's the environment or genetics or whatever, how they like gravitate toward things.
Yeah.
So you're doing the painting stuff mostly for you. Is there anything else you do for yourself, for your family to stay true?
Well, I feel like we go through waves because I always have those great intentions, but I am somebody that struggles with consistency. So, staying on par with, okay, well, here's a new routine. I know we talked about routine before, like I'm always trying to be that really organized routine person because I do like having, a consistent expectancy. But at the same time, I have tried being really laid back. I've tried micromanaging. I've tried everything in between. And I can't be on either end. I am in the middle. So, we have a general routine and I change here and there as necessary, but I always try to make sure that somehow we're getting a family focused experience. So right now, and like I said, you have to adapt. It's constantly changing based on what's going on in life. So right now, I set the last half hour of the night because I know it'll only be like 10 to 15 minutes in reality. But, bedtime, between dinner and bedtime is so stressful. And I'm tired of ending the day frustrated with one another. And just even me being frustrated with them instead of being so loving at the end of the night. And I'm like, just go to bed, So I'm like, we've got to change that. So I just started, and I mean, being at the end of my pregnancy, I'm so exhausted. So I'm like, guys, let's just, everybody come in my bed. And we all just lay together in my bed for 10, 15 minutes. And I try to read to them. We've been reading their Harry Potter books. So I try to make sure that I get to read to them. Sometimes we just watch a little bit of TV. Sometimes we just sit and talk. I mean, it varies based on how everybody's feeling that night. But I'm always trying to figure out how to incorporate family time where we're just having fun. There's no expectations, just be together. So, and I think that makes a huge difference for all of us when we prioritize that.
And expectations are such a funny thing. I wish I could get rid of some of mine as well. That doesn't always happen.
Yeah.
And because your days are so crazy, I mean, you have the 3 kids, your husband's working. How do you and Adam make time for the 2 of you and your relationship?
That's the toughest one, I'd say. It really is. Another one that we go through phases, of being on top of it, and then times where it's been like, when was the last time we did something just the 2 of us? So for a little while, it was making sure we just spent 15 minutes screen-free, distraction-free every night before bed, catching up, talking about whatever, not work-related, trying to just make it personal and like we're dating, we've tried getting those, they have books where you scratch off a challenge and it's like a date night challenge. And we tried doing that for a while. I mean, we've tried a whole bunch of different things, but they come and they go. And we just try to make sure at the very least that we're talking, and as long as we're communicating, then we're doing okay.
That's
so, because it's not realistic to get out with 3 kids, another one on the way, and hiring a babysitter and planning schedules. And he has his own shows that he does. He's got 2 shows that he does now. So I mean, it's scheduling is hard. So that's why it doesn't have to be a big production. We just make sure that we get.
I think that's half the battle. And when you're talking, you know, I'm trying to be better and I'm not always great. Like, I think I'm being clear and concise, but I'm not, you know. My husband would be like, I'm like, well, I said, he's like, oh, I thought you meant, I'm like, oh my God, no, I meant this. So then it's like, but they're not in your head. So I think like that, and it is so hard because your intention, like the words that are coming out of your mouth and what their perception is, you're like, oh God, is there a disconnect here? You know, like clear communication is really hard.
It is.
Oh really man. Is. What advice would you give a parent who's struggling with like time for self and just the day-to-day of life? How would you like use your situation to give them hope of finding their own way to do self-care? Yeah, totally.
Pause for a second because she's gonna cry over this if I don't help her for 1 second. Hold on. Here.
That was a lovely outfit.
Okay, go into your room. I promised her she could go on the iPad. She hasn't been on it in a while, and I was like, you can do it on my show. So I forgot. So that's why she's like,
you're like, shit. Okay.
Yeah. And she's back here slamming on my bed and crying. I'm like,
you couldn't really hear, so you're fine. Besides, it's also mom life. Like, that's what happens. Who cares? Whatever. Okay.
All right. So you're saying,
yeah, would you give like a parent who might be stuck, struggling like with the same things like identity, trying to find time for themselves? Like, what advice or insight would you share with them just to be like, go get started?
Yeah, honestly, I mean, that it is hard because you feel like you have to do it a certain way to do it right. And there is no right way. It's your way. And again, it goes back to this accepting where you are. And if that's in the depths of hell where you feel, then you just have to feel okay with that. Because again, being hard on yourself isn't going to help you feel better. So it's just a matter of figuring out how to be okay with.
So much, it's so good. You're in the depths of hell.
I mean, sometimes that's really what it feels like. And for some people, I mean, you know, like I've been there. I've literally been at that point, and people very close to me, because I have shared how low my lows were, are coming to me saying, hey, I know you felt this way and that's how I feel, you know? So again, sharing our authentic selves is helping people, but it's just about learning to accept and being okay with what you're not okay with, because the more you can open up to that, the more progress you'll make. And it's not about the big steps. It's about the little ones, because it's not going to happen quickly. It's not going to be giant changes that you see right away. It's the little things that you have to appreciate, because that's what keeps you going to get to the bigger ones. And that counts with self-care. It's the same thing. So take that 5 minutes, and self-care can be cleaning your house.
Oh my God,
cleaning your bathroom. You know, like, I deserve for my bathroom to be clean. That's how I'm feeling right now. Like, you know, that's, again, there's no wrong way to take care of yourself, as long as it makes you feel good. That's the whole point, is to feel good. So don't put yourself down about doing it wrong.
That's a really good point. Like, how often do we get down on ourselves because it didn't work out the way we thought it was going to, or we didn't do it the way someone else did it? Or, I mean, let's just use baking. Right. I love baking, but the other week before my oven broke for 3 months, so it wasn't the other week, it was the other month. Yeah, that's a different topic for a different day. But they made these muffins, and I try to do things, you know, like almond flour and like oats, and like, so that they have more nutrition, you know, in them. And they just totally were awful. Right? Okay. And I'm a pretty good baker. I'm not like as good as your mom, but I'm a pretty solid baker. And I was like mad at myself. And then I made them again with like regular flour just this week, and they turned out beautifully. And I was like, you know, maybe you should just follow the recipe. But it is a dumb little example, but you know, that's what we do. We sit there and we're like, oh, well, I should have done it this way, and shoulda, coulda, woulda. Well, then just do it again that way. Maybe we don't wait 3 months in between.
Yeah. And you know, as you're saying that, and it's something that seems so like irrelevant, but it's not, you know, like it's something that another form of self-care that I had to swallow this year, especially since the new year started, was like the kids get free breakfast and lunch at school. It's not great food, but you know what? They like it. And some days we're really late for the bus. So self-care is letting them eat Cocoa Puffs at school.
Yes.
And letting them have pizza or even cereal for lunch at school. You know, like literally self-care is just making it work and letting go on things that, no, I don't want them eating that. I'm so strict about what they eat, but I had to let go. Otherwise, I'm making myself crazy. So it's, you know, it's baking, it's letting go, it's acceptance.
Let it go. Control the controllables and then let go of the rest. That's something I've like, just to riff off you, that's exactly something I've had to learn, is that I'm not a control freak. Dominic and I have had this conversation many times. I definitely am OCD, and I like things done a certain way. And I like things done in my timeline, you know, not anybody else's.
Yeah.
So that has been a struggle for me to like let Dom make dinner and have it not work out the way I want it to, and have Declan set the table in his, you know, 3, almost 4-year-old way, you know, like, and then you're fixing it. But you know what? He's not watching TV for an hour. He's helping me put the dishes away. He's doing the things. He might break something every once in a while, but you know, who doesn't like an excuse to buy something new? I don't know.
Perspective.
Oh, see, you bring up another thing. Perspective. Like, another thing, like, just to kind of like riff off what you're talking about a little bit earlier too, like perspective, like my husband's been gone for almost a month, and I did not sign up for this game of like, you know, Visa, Ninja, whatever.
Right.
And that's kind of what prompted the yoga and stuff, is because I'm by myself, and so I started doing these like mantra things, like where like, I am supported, I am worthy, I am capable. Like I'm sitting there like, and you know, vasanas, whatever it's called, you know, shavasana. Yeah. And I'm like, I am worthy, I am capable. Like all these things, like repeating it in my head and trying to change my perspective of the situation that we have, which is a lot better than 99% of the world, you know?
Exactly.
And so I think that's a great point to bring up. Sometimes it's letting go where you can let go, you know, control what you can, let go of the rest, give yourself some acceptance and space for, you know, what the universe gives you. And then, you know, do your mantras, man, because I think they're working. I think they're working for me. Yeah. What else? Anything else for us?
No, I mean,
yeah. I'll say it. You don't sound like you got much pregnancy brain going on. So it's very.
I don't have time for that. I've got to stay laser focused here.
I'm one woman with 4 small humans and a husband and a fur ball. I got to get this shit done.
No time to be. Although if you ask Adam, I mean, he'll tell you that I'm just all over the place at all points of the day, which is probably pretty accurate, but I always bring it all back together. So that's,
I think my favorite thing that he does is the shit my wife says.
Oh yeah,
it's so good.
Oh yeah. There's so many. He hasn't done one in a while. It's been a while, but there's plenty to go around with those. The other day, we're sitting here having our, just talking at the end of the night. We're kind of falling asleep as we're talking, and then all of a sudden I was like, you know what I just realized? We both have green eyes, and none of our kids have green eyes. How is that possible? And he just looked at me, and he's like, I mean, we were talking about like budgets, and all of a sudden here I am talking about that, and he's like, what just happened? But that is my mind. It is butterfly. It is everywhere. Yeah. So I mean, I'm embracing it.
You're getting shit done. That's all that matters, Yeah. I mean, anyway, I'm the mom who knows not. My name is Brianna. That is Courtney. You can find her at Courtney Mary Paints if you want to check out some of her artwork. It's pretty incredible. I can't do it. That's for sure. Art was not the gene that I got. So glad someone can paint. This is the Mom and It's Not a Podcast. Stay true to yourself. You got to find a way to take care of number one. Can't take care of anybody else if you're not looked after. And so, you guys have fun learning all the things you didn't know you needed to know.